Good afternoon. Good to have you on Sky News. There's a lot of reconstruction to be done in Gaza, isn't there? How can you be confident that that money will go towards the reconstruction, the rebuilding and supporting of the civilian population there?
Good afternoon, Samantha, and thank you for having me. Indeed, what happened in Gaza was catastrophic, and let's go back to the root causes of this. It's not Israel vis-a-vis military groups. It's actually started all with the ethnic cleansing that was happening in Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood. And talking about two sides to this aggression is a misrepresentation of the situation. We're talking about a nuclear state that has one of the strongest armies globally and a stateless people. Now, to the reconstruction efforts, yes, we have commissioned $500 million, and most of that will be going for rebuilding houses within the coming 5 to 6 months. We are confident that we can rebuild around 45 housing units. This is in addition to rebuilding some of the other facilities. For example, the Qatari Red Crescent was demolished in this war or in this attack on Gaza, so some of that will go to this. There was, of course, the demolishing of Al Jalaa building, which hosted the Associated Press journalists as well as Al Jazeera journalists. So there is a lot to be done, in addition to the Hamad Rehabilitation Hospital, which was partially damaged in this attack.
Okay, you said most of it there. Is other portion of the money earmarked for other things?
In the past, what happened was that 50% of the aid was going to the energy sector. As you know, the Palestinians, 2 million Palestinians in Gaza, were living with 2 hours of electricity per day until Qatar intervened to increase this to 16 hours per day. And in the past, the other 50% of the previous aid used to go to the poorest families in Gaza, $100 per family. And I should highlight here that our aid in general, Qatar, does not only go to Gaza, it goes also to West Bank. For example, the largest housing project in West Bank, that is Al-Rawabi project, was built by Qatar.
And many representatives from Israel say that a lot of the aid money has gone for Hamas to build up its armaments. Is this aid money from Qatar, does that have Israeli government approval, and it's not in violation of sanctions against Hamas?
This claim is absolutely inaccurate. Whoever has been talking to you, Samantha, was not saying the truth. Yes, we do exercise very, very strict measures on our aid in general, and this has been done through the UN and obviously with the approval of Israel, because to Gaza you have 2 passages. It's either through Egypt, and it wasn't going through Egypt, so it has to be going through other means, and that is in this case with the approval of the Israelis. So no, the answer is everything has been going either to the electricity sector or to humanitarian purposes. Most of the commentators from Israel who are saying this, they're saying this for domestic reasons and political reasons, for election purposes, basically.
Do you think that it is now the time where Western nations need to deal with Hamas?
It's about time for the Western nations to stop the unconditional support, both moral and financial, and in fact political, to Israel. It is unconditional support. The issue, once again, it's not about Hamas. This reductionist approach of reducing the struggle of the Palestinian people since 1948 to only Hamas is very problematic. Hamas was only founded in 1984. There were decades of suffering before Hamas ever existed. So once again, we're not talking about two sides. We're talking about a nuclear state with one of the strongest armies globally and stateless people who have been suffering for decades. Samantha, those kids were killed, basically, from the side of the Palestinians. Those are not Hamas, and not only, by the way, the Palestinians. Do you remember Rachel Corrie, the American activist, who was killed by the Israelis in 2003? They are killing journalists, they are killing activists, not to say the truth. So once again, it's not a two-side aggression, it's basically an occupation, and Israel is the last colonial power that we know of in our time and age.